how, I guess we'll pull back to how you and your husband met and talk a little bit about that and,
Yeah.
where you lived when you moved back to the town of Bethlehem, because it sounds like for a period of time he was in the service for a while. Or,
Right. One of the things, back in the Vietnam War era, everybody was afraid that we were afraid he would go away, and even though he was in the Navy, he could go to Vietnam. So that was one of the reasons we got married so fast. And then he went to the Mediterranean. so, and then, so the first 8 months of our marriage, we weren't even together. He was away. But then I moved to Virginia, enjoyed 2 years living on the beach.
With him, was he in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on a ship. It was stationed there, so I saw him most days.
Uh-huh.
And we were on the Chesapeake Bay, and I lived on the beach. And then we moved to Waterford,
Okay.
and he went back to college. And then we moved to Rochester, where he continued to go to college, and then came back and ended up in Slingerlands.
Okay. Whereabouts in Slingerlands did you
New-
settle, and when was that?
That was 1974, and it was New Scotland Road. We're still there.
Mhm.
It'll be 50 years this
Wow.
year. And my father was the tax assessor, and his last name Hauk, my last name Hauk, H-O-U-K.
Mhm.
And he had somebody called him at town hall and said, "We have a house for sale." They wanted $24,000. So Ralph and I bought it.
Okay.
We couldn't afford anything more than that.
Uh-huh.
So.
And whereabouts is that? Right on New Scotland Road, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you know where Maple Avenue is in Slingerlands?
I should, but I
It's like
don't.
near the Arboretum.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Maple Avenue is just up from the Arboretum. It's a little side street,
Mhm.
and we're 2 houses down
Oh, yeah,
from
sure.
Maple.
Yes, I do know that. That's a nice little neighborhood right in there that
It
goes
is.
all the way over to where the McCormick is, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned, I think when we talked the other day about the house itself, and that house has a bit of an interesting
Yeah.
history too. Can you talk about
It
that?
was built in 1915,
Mm-hmm.
a bungalow. It was a kit, and we still have the paper on some of the boards down in the cellar have paper stapled to it that say they came in from the train.
Yeah.
And I would imagine he picked it up at the train station in Slingerlands. But it was a Couse who put that house up there.
C-O-U-S-E.
C-O-U-S-E.
Okay.
And that was a big family
Mhm.
in Slingerlands.
Okay. And you think it was a kit house as well then, huh?
Yeah.
Did you buy it from the Couse family or?
No, the family was McVeigh,
Okay.
and like the funeral parlor McVeigh.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know anything else about them.
Uh-huh. But a house that was built in 1915, that's got to be one of the older houses in that area. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Most of them
Slingerlands
are
pretty-
1800s.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But ours did go into the registry, the National Registry, but there's a comment in it that it's been changed.
Mm.
We did that.
What was the addition you put on, or was it?
We put an upstairs on it.
Okay.
Our kids were fighting, and over the bedroom. You had to walk through Jeanette's bedroom to get to Rennie, my son's bedroom.
Uh-huh.
They were fighting. She would say, "You can't go through my bedroom," and so we tried to sell it. It didn't sell, so we added on.
Okay. How do you think the town of Bethlehem has changed since you first grew up, back down in Selkirk? What
Well-
changes have you think have been most significant in your life?
The most significant to me would be the fact that it used to be all Republican. It was fully Republican, and now it's fully Democrat. And that doesn't matter to me, but my parents were fully Republican, and very good friends with all of these Republican leaders, like Bert Kohinke and Tom Corrigan, and so, and Dad worked in town hall, but it's changed you know, as far as the political party, but I don't see any real changes as far as the town.
How the town is run.
Yeah.
You said your dad was he was like the tax assessor. Was that a elected position, or was he appointed?
He was appointed.
Okay. How
Bert-
long did he do
Bert.
that? Oh, Bert Gohinke.
Yeah.
How long did he do that?
How many years? I think it was like 1970 when he started, and he retired maybe in 1990, somewhere around there.
Okay. And you said he had kind of done a couple of other different jobs up until that point,
Mhm.
right?
He had been, actually, in 1959, he was appointed postmaster of Selkirk.
Really?
Yeah. But it was an acting postmaster position.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, he was a Republican. It was a federal position. John Kennedy was elected. And Louis Piccarazzi became
I
the
was gonna
postmaster.
say.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to say,
But
well,
he didn't actually get appointed by Kennedy, right? Johnson wound up appointing him
Yeah.
because.
Could be,
He
but
was
I think,
he was also a Democrat.
I think
Yeah.
maybe Louis was acting postmaster until
Until
he
then.
got the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Yeah, I just saw him. I was just at
Oh,
the
really?
Shogun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would love to see him. I haven't seen him in so long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. He's a man about town still. He gets around.
This is a Selkirk thing. His parents owned a bar, and right on Maple Avenue. And I don't know if you ever heard of Mary Ann's Sweet Shop.
No.
Well, that was right across the street from Piccarazzi's bar. And that was a place we used to go after school to get a soda. It had a counter. The state police because the barracks used to be in Selkirk, so the state police would go into Mary Ann's and have supper. There was a man in town who used to show up and eat and never pay for his meal and leave, and the state police always paid for it. He was old. But for Halloween, I was strictly forbidden to ever go into a bar. Not Piccarazzi's or any place. So Halloween, I used to sneak in because they didn't give us, all the men at the bar, they didn't give us candy, they gave us nickels. And I like getting money better than candy. So don't tell my mother that I used to go in the bar.
And according to Luke, because we did talk to him, there were several bars, there were quite a few bars in Selkirk and
Didn't he say,
environs.
wasn't it like,
12 or something.
well, he said it was like the bar to restaurant or bar to hardware store ratio was 12-1.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
There was a bar on 9W. Now there's a trailer park, and this bar, what was it called? I can't think. The Chop Shop.
Oh.
I think that's what they called it.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of mine from school lived there. It was her father's bar. She invited me to her birthday party. It took my parents a week to decide if I would be allowed to go to the birthday party, because it was in a bar. So, and then there was a bar up on the corner where Beaver Dam meets Maple Avenue. It was called Popcorns. It was an all-black bar.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of the people that would be going to these bars, would they be people that would be working in Selkirk in the rail yards? Is that it, or just
Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Okay, because it just seems like an awful lot of bars for a very tiny little hamlet.
Yeah. And